Good morning, folks. Day after Christmas. A short one here again. Today I'm going to play how domestic politics mess up our foreign policy. Right? Today, headlines in every newspaper, and there's no reason for this to be headlines, especially from a snake oil salesman like the foreign minister of China called Wang Yi. He says, this is Hindustan Times, China ready to work with India, Wang Yi. Similarly, you have an old picture of Jaishankar and Wang Yi ready to work with India for steady, sound growth of bilateral ties, says China. Both sides have maintained communication, committed to border stability, China foreign minister. Remember this, when he says stability, he means he's encroached and India is accepting the encroachment, unlike the previous governments. This government has basically laid down its arms. Now, you may not like this, but that is the truth. They are sitting in 2,000 square kilometers of our territory in the east. They'll be nibbling away in the west, in the east, both sides. Arunachal, Doklam, they're all over the place. So, and this are the kind of statements, irresponsible headlines made by your main newspapers, Times of India, Indian Express, and the other, ready to work with India for sound growth of ties. This is Times of India. JV entry route for Apple's Chinese suppliers. Now, why that's happening is because Apple's moving here. What do they have? They don't really have a choice. The guys have to come to India to set up joint ventures, otherwise India won't allow them in, right? And the other reason is Zhejiang reports over 1 million daily cases of COVID. Internally, they are in trouble. And why these headlines had to come up today was because of this. Because yesterday when Rahul hit Delhi, he made it very clear that these guys had dropped their pants as far as China was concerned. And when he said, Rahul asked government, if not incursions, why are talks being held with China? I asked the same thing. And everyday conflicting news, and especially the most sold out newspaper, I think, is Bennett and Goldman's Times of India. I'll say it right out loud. And the other problem you're having, suddenly all these Russian will do this. We've got a lot of Russian fans in India too, right? Ukraine shoots down 13 drones as Russia launches Kiev attack. Right after that, today's papers, Putin says Russia ready for negotiation over Ukraine. Why would anybody negotiate over Ukraine? You get the hell out of Ukraine, old chap. Putin says Russia wants end to war in Ukraine, calls for diplomatic solution. The cat's out of the bag, folks. He ain't going nowhere. So Putin is scurrying. She is scurrying. India should not fall for this. The reason I tell you this is, folks, Russia is compromising where India stands on no third party, no third party. Who are you kidding, Jaishankar? Who are you kidding, Prime Minister? Russia has been involved in fooling India to help China, whether it was giving us false assurances when the PLA was accumulating this in huge numbers at the TR before Doklam, and guess what happened? Boom! Doklam. Whether it was forcing us off Kailash Hills, that was again, what's his name? Learned Sergei Lavrov through Wang Yi. And the moment we walked off Kailash Hills, was there any negotiation? None at all. Did they move? No. Buffer zone of our own territory. Figure that, folks. All you intelligent people. Get the reality, and the reason you don't get this reality is because of headlines like this. Wang Yi ready to work with India. Well, damn well he's ready to work for India because he's up a creek without a paddle, right? And Russia, India plan to drop use of dollar, euro in bilateral trade, says Kabul law. India, Russia trade up on one side, it says envoy. Oh my God, the two countries were up a paddle with huge amounts of deficit are Russia and China, and we continue to run after that. As India's Russian oil imports rise, US envoy says it's a sovereign decision. They are saying, like, if you want to go down that slippery slope, you're welcome. But what's going to help us against China, right? It's things like this. Trade pact a step closer as Australia Parliament gives nod to India. This happened. The deal The real promises of India-Australia FTA, the agreement is not just about trade, work visas and avoiding double taxation. Australia needs skilled power and can draw on Indian youth, and India can leverage technical know-how to spur innovation. Folks, we are not an innovative country. Anybody who's delusionally up to the Vedas that we are a great innovative country, we are not. We are a bunch of, what do you call that, mules. We just do any other people's work. That's what we do, right? But if you want innovation, you gotta tie up with people like the people who are spending tons and tons of money on R&D. Joint drill between India or Oz armies to start today. So Australia is a big component for India, as I said yesterday, Japan was. And this is why Wang Yi is scurrying, because Big Apple harvests India to be major iPhone maker. What the hell does Wang Yi do, right? He's having problems with employment at his end. Then you have India may export handsets worth 9 billion in FY23. There you go, folks. Pegatron follows Foxconn to make iPhone 14 in India. There it is, another Taiwanese company. Foxconn recharges India unit with 500 million, another Taiwanese country. But Germany is always getting us into a problem, right? Getting itself into a problem. German foreign minister visits India amid differences in Berlin over China. EAM meets German counterpart, focus Ukraine, Indo-Pacific. Top EU diplomat, Europe for closer maritime security ties with India. Now let me tell you why. A lot of people ask, why are we sliding with China? It's because of these incestuous commercial relationships, right? Which are not above board, which are below board. But that's true for every country. Germany is in the same spot because of its big car companies. The United States is in the same spot because of its big investment banks. So all of these places, the people who've compromised and allowed China to grow is the commercial interest, right? But the difference between Germany, USA and China, and India and China is India has a live border and it's in a fisticuff fight. So we really can't afford to run with the hare and hunt with the hound, right? Run with the hare and hunt with the hound. We just can't have a singing commercial relationship and at the same time try and settle our border through a fight. Fight, folks, people were asking me yesterday. It will be. There will be. Because for Xi, talk, it's only time for a build-up. Like Mao. Fight and talk, fight and talk, fight and talk. There's no compromise on that. Berlin bats for closer ties. Delhi must reciprocate. Germany is changing. Its strategic worldview is evolving, and its arrival on the global stage as a geopolitical player comes with immense possibilities. In 2020, Germany became the second European nation after France to outline an Indo-Pacific policy whose important goal was to deliver Germany's partnerships away from China to other regional countries. Berlin followed it up, making significant symbolic moves in the region last year. A German frigate sailed for the Indo-Pacific for the first time in 20 years, docking in 11 countries, including 7-month voyage, including Japan, Korea, South Korea, Vietnam, Singapore earlier this year. Germany sent 13 military aircraft to participate in the pitch black military exercise to Australia in one of German Air Force's largest peacetime deployments. With Germany looking to engage more substantively in the Indo-Pacific, a partnership with India becomes imperative. And that is absolutely true. But don't be delusional about China, talk and Wang Yi needing India. They do need India, but India's got to stand its ground and get its land back, folks. It's got to get its land back. Jai Hind.